everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Madeline from KnittingHouseSquare, and today I don't actually have a knitting tutorial for you. I'm going to be knitting someone else's pattern. So this is a pattern I've had my eye on for a while, and it's called the Sailor Slipper. And this one has been so popular online. I feel like every time I go on Instagram, I just see everyone else knitting this, and I've decided it's finally time for me to do it. So this is just going to be a quick little video documenting me knitting the Sailor Slipper and seeing if I succeed. I have, to the best of my knowledge, never actually felted any yarn before. So this is a very new little experiment for me. So the first thing I did after I bought the pattern off of Ravelry, which I'll be sure to link down below if you're interested in this one, is I hopped over to my local yarn shop and I was looking for a single ply yarn that was recommending a chunky weight, US size 11 knitting needle roughly. And this is what I came out with. So I already kind of failed a little bit on the pattern. The pattern says you need to make sure it's 100% wool and not superwash wool. And that's of course because these slippers are felted. So you'll see when people knit them, at first they're like huge slippers, then they put them in the washer and they come out like much smaller, perfectly sized for your feet. So the yarn I picked out was Quince & Co. Speckled Puffin, and then I took it up to the checkout all excited, and I realized once I got to the checkout that this is 95% wool, 3.5% acrylic, and 1.5% viscose. So I'm hoping this still works. And we will find out together, just a fun little experiment. So these are all Speckled Puffin, and I haven't knit with Quince & Co. in years and years, so I'm also curious to knit with this yarn again. I got a few different colorways here. I do like the idea of the striped slipper. I feel like I'm going to keep on calling it a mitten because I was just working on a mitten video. But these are going to be my three main colorways that I went with. So first up, we have the green, and the green is the colorway Monk. Each one of these is 100 meters for 100 grams, and that was exactly what the pattern called for. Then we have this lighter blue, which is Bougie. Not sure if I'm saying that one right. And then last up, we have this kind of like peachy pink, which is Rosella. And I have gone back and forth a few times here as to what colorway I want to use where. I do feel like I want the green to be my pop of colorway. So I'm thinking the green around the little cuff of the slipper. So then that would make me do, what I'm thinking is the green and the peachy pink as the top, and then this bluish color as the bottom or the base of the slipper. I did get one extra too, just in case I need any extra yarn for anything. So this one, we'll see if I end up needing that. But yes, I'm just going to be taking you along on the process, and we're going to see if I succeed with the Sailor Slipper. I'm going to need to be knitting these for myself, and I do want to mention that I have huge feet, so I do need one of the bigger sizes. So I am a US women's 11, so I'm finding the equivalent for that one in the pattern, and I'll put that up on the screen, what I'm actually going to be knitting exactly size-wise if you're curious. So first up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind up my yarn, and then I'll show you my progress along the way. I feel like the most interesting part will be when we actually go about washing it and seeing if I can successfully felt some yarn, because this will be a fun little new thing that I've never tried in the knitting space. So let's get started winding up this yarn. So my first knitted piece that I've made is a gauge swatch, and I'm just going to do the before felting gauge swatch. I'm going to play a little bit of yarn chicken here with this project, so I'm not actually going to test out the after felting one. That one will just have to be luck, and we'll see if it works out. So for my swatch, I cast on 16 stitches, and then I did 20 rows, and we are going to see if it matches the swatch in the pattern or the gauge in the pattern, which says 12 stitches is 4 inches. So let's try the 4 inches here. See how many I have in there. So I'm 1 stitch short in terms of my stitches. And for my rows, the pattern says 16 rows is 4 inches. So I'm going to see if I have 8 rows 2 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I only have 7. So I need to get a tighter gauge here. So I am not going to be knitting this in the recommended size US 11. I'm automatically just going to go down 1 knitting needle size. I'm going to go with a 10.5. And that is fairly typical for me as a knitter. I do usually have to go down at least 1 knitting needle size when knitting a project. Again, because I'm playing yarn chicken, I'm now going to unwind my little swatch here so that I can use this yarn in my actual project. Now I've just finished knitting both of these slippers, and I do still have quite a bit of yarn left over, so that makes me really happy. I didn't have to worry about running out of yarn at all. So each slipper is here, and I haven't seamed it yet. Next up, that'll be what I do. I'm going to seam with this Soul color. So I still have tons of the green, so I am going to do the green as like the extra little stripe around here. The peachy orange color I'm all done with, and then I have plenty of the Soul color to seam with. So that makes me, again, really happy. So I'll do that fun shot of these on my feet once I've seamed them, just so you can see the scale of how big they are. And then we will hop forward to the fun experiment of, can I successfully felt these in my front end washing machine? Okay, so we have our 2 slippers now. And before I wash them, I just wanted to give you a little update on how much yarn I ended up using. So first up, the peach colorway, which I just used as my main color stripe on the top. I ended up using 70 yards or 64 meters total. So plenty left over there. Then I have my green colorway. I used that as my contrast stripe, and then also the I-cord along the top. I ended up using 64 yards, which is about 59 meters. And then by far the one I used the most was the blue. So with the blue, I used 95 yards, and I did both of the soles there. So 95 yards, which is about 87 meters. So now we get to move on to the fun part, which I'm very excited about. We're about to go over to the washing machine and try and felt these. Okay, so first up, the pattern notes that it's better if you put a little towel or something like that in with them. It'll help speed up the felting process. And I do have a front loading washing machine here. So I'm just gonna take 2 kitchen towels, put those in. Then I'm gonna take my slippers, put those in. And my usual laundry detergent, which I was hoping I'd be able to use, is I usually use this Ecos one, but the pattern specifically says you don't want enzymes. So I had to go out and buy a new laundry detergent for this. So the cost of this project keeps stacking up. So I went out and I got this version, and this one says it doesn't, or as far as I could tell anywhere on the label, didn't say anything about enzymes. So I'm going to use this laundry detergent, pour a little bit of that in. Now mine automatically does like this sensing thing. So chances are I'm going to have some trouble with this because my washing machine always tries to do like the shortest cycle possible. So I'm going to leave it not on quick wash, which is what I usually do. I'm going to do normal casual. It's on warm water, has a spin speed, soil level. Let's see if there's anything else we can put. It says don't do the pre-soak, so I'm not going to put that on. And the spin speed is extra high. So it does say in the pattern you want it to go somewhere between 1.5 and 2 hours, and currently mine's saying 59 minutes. I'm going to give this a try, and if it doesn't work, then I'll try a different cycle on here, or instead I'll go over to my sister's house who has the top loading washing machine, because I may have more luck there. But for now, let's give this a go. I'll see you back in 59 minutes. So as kind of predicted, my machine only ran for about 50 minutes. So this is the moment of truth. Did they shrink? They definitely look like they got a little small. Oh yes, they did. Oh my goodness. They're a lot smaller. Let's see. They're still gonna be too big for my feet. So I'm gonna try and do it again and see if they'll get smaller. So let me turn the camera here for a second. So here they are in their current state. And you can see the comparison from before. They're definitely smaller. I just need them to get even smaller. So let's do it again. And hopefully second time's the charm. So I'm gonna put those back in. Do a little bit more detergent and we'll see how this goes. Moment of truth number 2 here. Oh, they look smaller. This is exciting. So this is how big they came out this time. Let's see. On my feet. These look like much more perfect. Okay, let me try putting them on. Oh, these are so fun. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna do it again, just because I'm afraid they're gonna get too small. So I don't think I need to shape them at all, because they do already fit my feet. They're just a little wide. But I'm gonna let these dry now. And then I'll show you the finished thing. This is so exciting. It is now the next day and they're all dry and I'm back with my final update. So hopefully I can put in a little side-by-side comparison of you for you of me holding these before I felted them and after I felted them. I just think these are such a fun project. I would give this pattern a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It's really just fun if you're looking for something new to try with knitting. Highly recommend. Lengthwise, these fit me really, really well. They are a little bit wide, but I guess that's just part of the game you play with felting. She also does include in the pattern ways that you can shrink the width or you can change the length if you want to. So there are a lot of different modifications that you could make. And I'm sure if I kept on knitting this pattern over and over again, I'd get better and better at modifying it. It did end up taking 2 of those wash cycles, which for my machine was about 50 minutes each. So it was right in the ballpark that she said in the pattern, right somewhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours. So spot on there. And again, I'm just so happy with how these turned out. Down in the description box below, I'll link to the full pattern from Annie Sews. That way, if you're interested in knitting yourself a pair, you can definitely do that. I'll link to all the supplies that I used in making this. And I'll be back in a few weeks for my regularly scheduled programming. Usually I make knitting tutorials on here. So if you're interested in seeing some knitting tutorials, be sure to subscribe. That way you stay up to date. I'll see you next time.